Hello dosto, came cho. So in this video, I will be explaining you what all questions that has been asked to me in OpenText company. So you might be knowing that OpenText is a product-based company. So I've almost cleared like all the interview rounds I've cleared, but due to some fitment issue, like they were looking out for some candidates which were working, which had already had a previous work experience in their project domains. So they have selected some other candidate who has worked in that domain. So I got rejected, but they didn't told like I was rejected. They told like some, if there are some other BUs or some other projects might be there, so they might put me into that based upon past feedback of the interviews which I have given. Okay, so when they will call, I don't know, but it's my win because I have cleared all the rounds. Okay, so they will basically have 3 rounds of interview, and that will be face to face. Okay, so they will just call you at their office. Okay, and from there you have to give all rounds on pen and paper. So they will give you some paper and you have to write the codes over there. So what all questions have been asked to me, I'm sharing that with you in round 1, round 2 and round 3 format. So in my first video, I will be showing you all round 1 questions because there were a lot of questions asked in round 1. So I have not put all rounds in one video, otherwise it will become very long video format. So in my first video, it will have only round 1 questions, and second video I will be telling you round 2 as well as managerial round question. So let's see what all questions has been asked to me in OpenText in round 1. So in this video, let's discuss my OpenText interview experience. So let's understand what all kind of questions that has been asked to me in the interview. So let's start with a round 1 technical interviews, like what all kind of technical question that has been asked in this round. So basically, these are the questions. So first question is always about project. So they will mostly focus upon like what have you done in your past companies, in your past project. Have you been into some banking domain projects? Have you made use of some multi-threading, some good data structures or some automation utility kind of thing? Have you implemented of your own or not? So these kind of things they will mostly focus to ask more and to want to get to know more from you. Okay, so you should be very much crystal clear with what all things you have implemented in your project. So you can't say like with 1 or 2 liners and it will be over about project. It's not like that. So they will be dig deep into it, like exactly what you have done with respect to design principles, or if you have made use of any system design concepts, or if you have made use of some design principles to implement your project, or what kind of end-to-end functionalities you have implemented from scratch. Okay, so those are kind of things they will dig deep into it, and they can ask more about your project, like what was it all about, what was the impact which got created because of your implementation at the end. So those kind of things you should be prepared about it. And there are a lot of things that they can be asking, like if you have implemented multi-threading, then they can ask you like how have you implemented completable features, or how have you made use of features, or how have you made multiple threads run parallelly, how have you made use of fixed thread pool or cache thread pool, depending upon what you have made use of in your project. So whatever things you have made use of, you should be having a thorough knowledge on those kind of topics which you have made use of in your project. So this was the glimpse of it, and it will go till 5 to 7 minutes. It depends how you are answering in the interview. So this was always the first question in the interview. So next question will be count of occurrences based on inputs. So these are the inputs that will be provided to you. Based on that, this should be the output. So I will not be giving you entire coding by writing it to you. So with the help of Java 8 also you can do, okay, or else with normal Java principles you can make use of, Java data structure you can make use of, and to implement this. Okay, so what is happening over here, I have been given some input array elements like 2, 5, 2, 3, 5, 7. So what is happening over here, I have to print the occurrence of each number in that input array. So basically you can observe over here I have 2. So in this entire input array, how many times 2 is repeated? So 2 is repeated 1, 2, 3. 3 times 2 is repeated. So wherever 2 is present, I need to write the count of occurrences of that particular number. So 2 is repeating 3 times. So in place of 2, I need to write 3. Now 5 is repeating how many times? 5 is repeating 1, 2, 2 times. So in place of 5, I need to write 2. Okay. Then again 2, 3, then 3. So 3 is repeating how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times 3 is repeating. So in place of 3, I need to write 5. 5 is repeating 2 times. 7 is repeating 1 time. In place of 7, we have to write 1. 3 is repeating how many times? 4 times. So we have to write 4 in place of 3. So this was the question that we need to implement, and it was like face to face. Okay, so they will give you some sheets of paper, and they will give you or they will ask you to write with your own pen. Okay, so in front of the interviewer you need to implement this logic. Okay, so you should be very much thorough with array concepts like two pointer approach, binary search operation, then cadence algorithm or prefix sum approach. Okay, so there are some algorithms that you should be very much well versed of, like sliding window. So 4 or 5 algorithms are there in arrays. So if you are aware of it, then it will be easy for you to understand and implement this kind of array problems. Okay, so what you can do, basically you can make use of map, and you can store the count of each number's occurrences in a map. Okay, and then what you can do, you can check the occurrence, like if the number is 2, so wherever 2 is present, we have to replace, like you should not make use of any extra space complexity like making use of a different array. Okay, you should not create a new array. You can create by creating a new array as well, but you should avoid doing that. Okay, try to replace in place, okay, in the existing input array without making use of any extra space. So try to do it by yourself. It is not that difficult. You can make use of hashmap. You can store key value pair with a number and its occurrences, and wherever that number is occurring, you need to replace that with their occurrences. I hope it is easy for you. So next question was, find a middle node of a linked list in one iteration. So first of all, this question was not asked in one iteration, just the question was find the middle node of a linked list. So how can you implement this? So if you know the linked list, all nodes are connected in the form of a doubly linked list format. Okay, so here it was a singly linked list. So what is happening, first node's address is being stored in the next node. Okay, second node's address is connected to third node. Like that, the nodes are connected in the linked list format. Okay, so what we have to do to find a middle, so if we don't have to do it with one iteration, then try to think how can we implement. So first of all, there is no way to find the index directly. Like in case of array, what we used to do, just we need to know the number of elements, the size of that array, and then divide by 2. But in case of linked list, it's not a case. We need to iterate it from starting till the last node. So there will be head node, there will be tail node. So we have to start from head node to tail node, and we have to increase the iteration, increase the counter by 1 till it reaches the last. Once it reaches the last, you are having one number. Okay, so there will be one pointer. So let me show you once, so that you will get the idea. So basically what I'm trying to say, so there is one node over here which is being connected to another node. Okay, so it is again connected to another node. Like that, the nodes are connected in the form of linked list fashion. Okay, so what is happening, there is one head over here, there is one head over here. Okay, then there is tail. Okay, so what we have to do, we have to start iterating from head till it reaches tail. Okay, so once head, so we can't move head. Okay, so what we have to do in that scenario, we can't move head. So what we can do, we can create one temporary node which is called as temp node. Okay, we can create one temp node over here which will point to where head node is pointing, and will iterate temp node till it reaches the last node. So how can we make sure like temp is reaching the last node? So where temp.next, if temp.next is reaching to null, that means temp has already reached the last node. And during that flow, we will be having one pointer. That pointer is nothing but some counter. So let's suppose I'm taking one counter C. Okay, so as soon as it reaches to next node, counter will increase by 1, C plus plus. Okay, so counter plus plus. Then again next node, and again counter plus plus. Okay, so like that, it will track the number of occurrences of the nodes from head to tail. Okay, once we got that, then what we can do, we can store it as a position. Okay, so again, we have to iterate it from the head till it reaches to the position -1. So what we have to do, first of all, we need to find a position like middle node. So number of count, like it is 1, 2, 3. Okay, so counter 3 divided by 2, we have to find a middle, so it is 1. Okay, so this this second one will be the middle basically. Okay, what we can do over here, directly we can get the position -1. So this will be the position -1. Okay, So this, if it is a middle node, we can again run a loop. We can iterate from head node till it reaches to position -1. Once it reaches position -1, we can return the next index of that position directly. That will be the middle node of a linked list. But that is with respect to not in one pass. So we have to take two iterations. One iteration is with counter to know like what's the count of nodes. Then we can do divide by 2 to find like exactly at what position we need to go. Okay, and then we have to run the loop again to reach to that node, and then we have to return the middle node. So there will be two iterations normally. But if I want to do it in one iteration, how we can do? Just try to think. We don't need two iterations, and it is not index based. Okay, so it's address based. So it doesn't work like array. What algorithm we can make use of to find a middle node of a linked list so that it can be done in one single pass? So you should be knowing of fast and slow pointer algorithm. So there is something called as fast and slow pointer algorithm. So what does it do? So there will be two pointer, one fast pointer, one slow pointer. So from the name itself, you will get to know like fast moves faster and slow pointer moves slower. So what does that mean? So when fast pointer is pointing to first node, slow pointer will also be pointing to first node initially. Then what will happen? First fast pointer will move 2 steps. Okay, so when first fast pointer will move, so let's suppose now fast pointer is moving from here. So now fast pointer is here. From here fast pointer will move here. Okay, so till what condition will met for fast pointer when it stops? So when fast dot next is null or fast is null. Okay, so in case of even number of nodes, so here you can see in case of odd number of nodes, here you can see there is odd number of nodes. So in case of odd number of nodes, fast dot next will be null, and in case of even number of nodes, fast when it becomes null. Okay, so when fast dot next is null or fast is null, during that point while loop will move till this condition is met for fast pointer, and when fast is moving by two nodes ahead, slow pointer will move by one node only. Okay, so when fast has reached here, fast has reached over here, slow will reach over here. Okay, so now fast dot next is null because after fast node nothing, after fast pointer has reached this node, there is nothing after this node. So at this point where slow pointer points to the middle node. Okay, so now I have to just return this slow pointer, then I will get the middle node of a linked list. So it will be applicable for any number of nodes. Just this condition we have to meet. Like fast dot next is null or fast is null. Fast will point to fast dot next, fast dot next. Okay, and slow will point to slow dot next. When fast will move by 2 pointers ahead or 2 nodes ahead, slow pointer will move just by 1 node ahead. Only this concept we have to implement, and you can find middle nodes of a linked list in one pass only. So this was the logic. So try to implement it by yourself. You will get the idea and clarity of it. Okay. So now let's jump on to next question. So what are the new features came in Java 8 in hashmap? So this was the question asked to me in the third question. So basically in hashmap, what is there? So in hashmap, internal implementation, they can ask you. So it's very important that you should be knowing in thorough of what is hashmap, how does hashmap works internally, how hashcode and equals method is working. Okay, so these all things needs to be clear first of all. Then you can tell about what were the new features. So the question was directly on new features that were released in Java 8. So they can directly jump onto that if the question is not on internal implementation. Okay. So what new feature came in Java 8? So you might be knowing that before Java 8, whenever we are trying to insert multiple keys. Okay, so let's suppose we have more than one key which is having same hashcode value, then what will happen? Whatever index will be calculated, it will point to the same bucket. So if all the keys, let's suppose in worst case scenario, all the keys are pointing to the same bucket, and let's suppose there are 15 keys and all 15 keys lies onto the same bucket, then what will happen in that scenario? Try to imagine that. I'm telling you. So let's suppose there is one hash map. Okay, in hash map there are various buckets available for us. Okay, so it's starting from 0 till 15 as the size is 16 for hash map. Okay, so whenever we are adding any key, so one key is pointing to one of the bucket and another key 2 is pointing to another bucket. So this is the functionality of how hashmap is working based upon from the key hash code is calculated, from the hash code index is find out with the help of modulus of the size of the hashmap. Then based upon the index, the bucket number is calculated and then it points to a specified bucket in the hashmap. But what will happen, like if there are 15 keys and all 15 keys comes out to represent the same index as all keys are having the same hash code. So in that scenario, what will happen? All the keys will lie onto the same bucket. So what will happen in that scenario? If that is the case, all will be connected in the form of what? All will be connected in the form of linked list. Like this, it will be connected in the form of linked list. Okay, so you can imagine like 15 nodes at only one bucket index. So how much inefficient that hashmap will become. Whenever we have to get something or put something into the map, so you need to iterate through the entire set of nodes in a linked list. As we all know that linked list is not index based. Okay, so to find whether that element is present or not in a linked list, we need to iterate it till the end. Okay, if the node is not present, then we have to put the data. That is the case, right? How equals method is working. So we have to compare the keys. If keys are present, then based upon that, we need to find out that whether the elements are already there in that specific bucket of the hashmap or not. So in this scenario, if 15 nodes are present in one bucket, then what will be the time complexity? It will be O of M in worst case scenario before Java 8. So now after Java 8, what will happen? There is something called a tree-fi threshold. Once that tree-fi threshold is reached, then after that, what will happen? A tree-fi threshold of 8, by the way. Once it crosses 8 nodes, number of nodes as 8 on a linked list, it will get converted to red-black tree. Okay, so it will be accommodating nodes till it reaches the tree-fi threshold of 8. Once tree-fi threshold of 8 is reached, then as soon as it reaches to 9th node, then what will happen? It will get converted in the form of red-black tree. Okay, so like that, red black tree, it will getting converted to. It's one form of binary tree only, where the top node, okay, where the top node will be the black node, and then all its child will be the black node. Okay, so you need to understand first, like what are red trees, what are red nodes, what are black nodes. That are different case. Those things are not asked much in detail, but you need to know like how it is being worked internally. So once that linked list gets converted to red black tree, then the time complexity will become how much? Time complexity will become O of log n. So if you know, the time complexity of a binary tree becomes O of log n, or any tree becomes O of log n, depends upon how many nodes are there in the left or in the right and how much is the height of the tree. Okay, so this will be the optimized way to make the hashmap more efficient. Okay, because or else this will become very much inefficient when more number of keys crossing threshold points to the same bucket. So this was the feature came in Java 8, that any nodes crossing the tree-fi threshold limit of 8, it will get converted, linked list will get converted to tree map or red black tree. Okay, so this is very much important to understand. So now next, let's jump on to next question. What is completable future used for? And when we already have future, then what's the need of completable future? Okay, so this is very important question basically, because if you know in case of multi-threading, if you have worked upon, so questions will be surrounding multi-threading core concepts, okay, like executor frameworks and all. So future was present. So what's the advantage of making use of future? So if you dive deep into futures, there is something called as fork joint thread pool. Okay, fork joint thread pool works upon like how many cores are present in your CPU. Based upon that, it will allocate threads, and then that threads will process the task parallelly and it will execute that task. Okay, so future, what will happen? So we are making use of executor. There are two main core interfaces. Like executor is a core interface. Executor service is a child interface which extends executor interface, which is a core interface. Then there is one executor. So there is one executor, there is one executors, and then there is executor service. Okay, so these are the set of interfaces and classes that we need to know. Okay, similarly, like collections is a utility class. Similar to that, executors is also one of the utility class. Okay, so with the help of that, with the reference of that executors, like executor service yes equal to executors dot new fixed thread pool. Okay, so in executors there are various inbuilt thread pools methods are present. like executors.new fixed thread pool, executors.new cache thread pool. There are various inbuilt methods are present for executors. Okay, so similarly, once we store the reference in executor service reference, then that executor service reference, from there we can call submit method. Okay, so there also we need to understand like whether we should make use of submit method or execute method. So if you are making use of submit method, then it will handle runnable as well as callable type data. But executor service like es.execute, if you are doing execute method, if you are writing, then it will handle only runnable type data. So it totally depends, like if you want to return something, then you have to pass callable type data, or else if you don't want to return anything, then you need to pass runnable type data. Then we need to store the data in future type. Okay, because you don't know, right, when data will be, you will be getting when, like whenever you are calling submit method, so at what point or at what instance you will get the data in future, you don't know that. That's why you need to store it in future. Okay, from here on we need to make use of completable future. Why? Because we don't know, like in future, when data will be stored in the future reference, we don't know that. Okay, so if it is stored in future reference, just with get method you can get the data from the future reference. Okay, but let's suppose future reference is not having any data from quite long time. Let's suppose it has been a day, it has been 2 days, no data has been caught into future. Then what will happen in that scenario? Will you be waiting entire lifetime? What is happening in that scenario? The main thread is blocked till that future reference or that future block gets executed. So it's very much difficult, right? How can main thread will wait infinitely till future if is returning something? Or else, like if no get method is called, then no processing of future method, then main thread will get blocked infinitely. So what we can do, we can make use of completable feature over there. Okay, we can pass the time frame, like till what time we need to wait till it returns some dummy value. So that feature is there within completable feature. With the help of completable feature, you can basically give the timeline, like how many milliseconds of time you can provide till it returns something. If it doesn't return during that period of time, then it will give some dummy data and main thread will be released. So this is the mechanism of completable feature which generally works with. Okay. So there is certain inbuilt completable feature methods also there, like supply async, compose async. Basically you can chain multiple features together, but with feature you cannot chain multiple feature type references together. So you have to create multiple feature references. Okay, but with the case of completable feature, there are inbuilt methods you can make use of, like compose async, supply async, dot then compose async. You can compose, or you can basically chain multiple features together to get the results. So it just reduces boilerplate code. You don't have to create multiple objects or references of features. So those all problems is getting resolved with completable feature, and it does it in an asynchronous fashion. It's like functional programming you are doing in an asynchronous way. Okay, so that's why completable feature came in Java 8 to resolve this problem of feature. So like that you have to go ahead with. So there are a lot of things you need to learn. So you need to go through some resources so that you can understand like how it is internally working. So these are the things that we have to understand. Next question is JVM memory model, like how JVM memory model works. So you can understand there are like a lot of things in JVM. Like first of all, we have to understand like class loader is there. Okay, in that there are three types of class loader, right? Bootstrap class loader, application class loader, and extension class loader. Then comes the heap memory. Okay, when you are creating new objects, it is getting stored in the heap memory, but directly it will not get stored. First, the reference will be created in the stack memory. Okay, so stack memory will be there. It will hold the references of those reference objects that you are creating within the method. Okay, so first reference will be stored in stack, and its life cycle is till the method gets executed. Once the method is completed with its execution, the field or the reference will be gone. Okay, so whenever you are creating any new object, the reference is first created in stack, and that reference will be pointing to the object created in the heap memory. So like that, the same reference object is connected between stack and the heap memory. So once the object reference is being removed from the stack, once the code flow is over, then JVM garbage collector will come into picture. So garbage collector will see like, is there any reference pointing to this object in the heap memory? No, it's not there. Then what will happen? Garbage collector will remove that object from the heap. Okay, so these are the things which is happening internally, and within that there is certain set of memory management is happening. Like there is hidden space, survivor space, which is coming under young generation, then old generation, then how what all algorithms are there within JVM which cleans this unused or unreferenced objects. So this is a separate story for that. So first of all, we need to understand like what all things are present within JVM and how it is getting connected. Then there is called as method area, which holds the static fields. Okay, whatever the class level fields are there that we can store it in the method level. Okay, and then there is some register, PC register, that for each task there is one of the PC counters provided. Then there is a native stack. Okay, so the native stack contains all the native class libraries. So these are some of the things which are present within JVM. And coming to the memory management model, so in that there is young gen, old gen. So there are a lot of things that is present within that. So first of all, new objects are getting created that are baby objects that will first go into young generation. Okay, so first of all, it will go to Eden space. From Eden space, it will, if it survives, like garbage collector will keep on frequently checking, like if there is any baby objects present or newly created object present which nobody is pointing to, any reference being pointed to. If it is not there, it will be removed by the garbage collector. But after a certain period of time, if there is some reference pointing to that object, then garbage collector will move that object to survivor space. And after a certain interval of time, still if JVM sees or garbage collector sees like there is yes some other references are still pointing to that particular object, then it will move to old generation. In old generation, what is happening? Frequent cleaning of objects are not happening over there, because in old gen it's clear that from very long time there are some references pointing to that, so frequent cleaning or frequent sweeping is not happening. So these are basically, we have to understand, these are basically the memory management model that is being worked upon. Then there is something called as permgen and metaspace. So before Java 8, basically permgen was present as a part of heap memory. Okay, so that's why it was getting clumped up. So there was memory issues because everything was within heap memory. So after Java 8, basically permgen has been removed, and now heap space is not being kept as a part of the heap memory. Okay, so heap space is kept differently. So these are the things that we have to understand. Then what is a proxy object in Hibernate? So proxy object, if you can understand, so it is nothing but a dummy object which loads lazily at runtime whenever we want it. So proxy object will just return a virtual object which doesn't hold anything, just a virtual image of that entity. Basically, it returns that. Okay, and it becomes faster when you process this, because you don't want to eagerly load everything, or else system will become slow, application will become slow. So proxy object will return the virtual image of that particular table which you want to return, and when you want to load that, try to load that lazily. Okay, with fetch type dot lazy and @lazy annotation also we can make use of over methods. So if you can do that, then what will happen? Your Spring container or the framework container will get to know, like, yes, we need to load that object because now it has been called lazily. So at that point of time, it will load the data from database, or else it will not load the data from database. So this is very important concept. You can go ahead and learn and understand this. I'm not going deep dive into each of the questions because it will take a lot of time to complete it. So I don't want to waste a lot of your time. I want you to also do some research and do some analysis, like how these things are internally being worked upon. Because if you're not doing your own analysis, you will forget the things. Okay, so now let's understand next question. Yeah, this is also one of the important questions. So what are isolation levels in Hibernate? Okay, so there are various isolation levels in Hibernate. So if you can understand, like read committed, read uncommitted, okay, then serializable, repeatable read. So there are various kind of isolation levels are present in Hibernate. So it totally depends, like in which kind of scenarios you want to make use of. So by default, it will be read committed. Okay, so if isolation level is read uncommitted, then if one of the thread is trying to make some modification in one of the reference or one of the method or any synchronized part of that method block, then in that scenario, what will happen? If that particular thread has not committed that transaction, then another thread might come and try to read the data which is not committed yet. So it will give some dirty read operations, right? It will not take the proper data, which is the right data. So that's why it will give you some dirty read things. So to resolve this issue, there is something called as read committed. So it will just commit when first thread commits the data, then second thread will try to fetch the data and then will get the proper data. But then again the issue will come when there is when you are trying to repeatedly read the data. When you are repeatedly read the data, then if one of the thread has made some change and is committing and then again made some change later and then again committing, then in that scenario it will fetch the wrong data. Okay, because it will try to fetch the original data only. So that's why we have to make use of repeatable read, so that frequently it will try to read the data, so that it will not it will not give some phantom reads. Okay, so what is the meaning of dirty read and phantom read? You can go ahead and Google and understand it. Okay, so phantom read will try to fetch the older data only. Okay, so we have to make use of repeatable read so that it will repeatedly read the data which is latest. Okay, and then there is serializable. Basically it is the most optimized version. It becomes very much slower, application becomes very much slower, but it will make sure like it fetch the right data in a synchronized fashion. Okay, it will fetch the latest data pertaining to that particular thread, what that thread has made changes. Okay, so these are the various kind of isolation level, and there are certain propagation levels are also present, that also you need to understand, like default, mandatory. Okay, then nested. Okay, so those all things we have to understand. Isolation level, propagation level, these are also very much important. So you just go through all those concepts. Then questions were on solid design principle. What all solid design principles have you worked upon? What does it stands for? So these kind of questions, like single responsibility principle, open close principle, Liskov substitution, interface segregation, dependency inversion. So they will ask you to explain each and every one of them with example, with real-time examples or scenarios. So you should be aware of it. So then only you can able to answer if there is any cross questions as well. So next question is print odd and even threads in Java. So they have given some sheets, okay, and they were telling to write the code with proper syntax, like how this odd and even threads will work. So if you have not practiced well by writing on paper or on IDE at least 3 to 4 times, you will get stuck at some point of time. If you don't know like how synchronization is happening, how locking concept is working, if you are not aware of those concepts in details, then you might get stuck while writing code on paper, because they will not tell you to implement on IDE. So they might tell, but at that point of time they have given me sheet to write it over there. So it is more or less similar, only if they are giving you some idea. So you should be knowing like how synchronization is working, then only you can write code, right? So it should be very much good, and you should practice a lot multi-threading based questions. And there are not much questions, there are just 3 to 4 types of questions you need to practice on multi-threading, and those type of questions are repeatedly asked, and this is one of them. Okay, so just try to implement odd and even threads. So I've also implemented it in one of my videos, you can go through them as well. So then that way you can just try to implement and try to see like how they will basically, there will be 2 threads. One thread will be printing odd numbers, one thread will be printing even numbers. It should not be like it is not in order, like anything is printing. Because if you are not managing, if you're not synchronizing 2 threads, then what will happen? 2 threads will print anything like 1, 4, 2, 5, 6, 3. I have to make it print like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 only. So that way we have to print it. I hope you got it right. So try to implement by your own. Okay, so you will get the solution in my YouTube channel only in one of the video. Next is, this is one of the questions that has been asked to me based upon protected. There are various kind of access modifiers present, right? Like public, private, protected, default. We should be knowing like what is the scenario to and when to use these type of access specifiers basically. Okay, so public means it can be accessible from outside the class, inside the class, anywhere. Default is from the same package. Okay, protected can be accessed only via inheritance. Okay, without inheritance you cannot access protected fields. Then there is private, which can be accessible only within the class. So this is one of the example for protected. So we are making use of protected field, and we are having show method in a test class, and then from protected check class I've created one more class which extends this test class, because we can't access this protected field without extending this class from another class. So we have to subclass it. Okay, then from main method we are creating the object of this protected check, which is the subclass, and then we are storing it in the parent class reference, and then we are printing the value of A, and then show method I'm printing. So what will be the output for this? Try to pause this and try to think on this much, like what can be the output for this problem. I hope you have thought of it. So basically what is happening, you are trying to create the object of subclass and storing it in a parent class reference. So here there will be problem. So there will be compilation issue over here. Why? Because visibility will not be given. Visibility is not there for A in subclass. Okay, so to create the visibility, you need to create the object of test class. You can't create the object of subclass and store it in the subclass reference or parent class reference. If you want to access the fields of a class which are protected, we have to create the object of parent class, not the child class. In that way only you will get the visibility of the protected field references. So here it will show compile time error, it will show compilation problem. So this was the question asked to me. So that person has written this on a sheet of paper and was asking me like, what will be happening in this scenario? Will it give any kind of compilation issue, or it will execute properly? Okay, so this kind of questions can be asked, output based questions. Okay, so in this it will not work out, it will give compilation problem. To resolve this problem, what we can do, in case of new protected check, just you can create the object of parent class, which is test, like test PC equal to new test. Instead of making use of subclass object, try to create object of parent class, and from this parent class reference try to access a reference variable. You can very easily get the data. So this way you have to understand like how protected access modifiers work. This is very common question in case of streams, also in case of SQL queries also, how to fetch nth highest salary of an employee. So this was asked with respect to query only. You have to write SQL query to fetch nth highest salary of an employee. So what we can do, there are multiple ways to do it. Okay, so you can do it via limit also. You can do it, we can do limit and select max salary, or you can do via subquery also. But if it is like n is very high, then subquery will not work out. Okay, you can do it via rank function as well. Okay, so that way also you can do, or else you can do via count also. Okay, so select star from employee where n-1 equal to select count of distinct salary from employee some reference emp2 you can provide, where emp2, which is the inner subquery emp2 reference dot salary is greater than outer employee dot salary, outer query employee dot salary. So like that, it will keep on checking which one is the highest, which one is the highest, and whatever number is given outside the inner subquery, based upon that it will find out like which one is highest, it will just sort it out. Okay, and then it will print you the third largest or second largest. So you have to make sure that it is n-1. Okay, so select star from employee E1 where it's n-1. Okay, where n-1 equal to, then select the sal from emp2. Okay, so like that you have to make use of. There are multiple ways of doing it. You can do it via dense rank, you can do it via window function, you can do via limit, you can do via count of distinct cell mechanism also. There are multiple ways, but you should know at least two methods. One is via limit, one is via either rank or window function, or you can do via count of distinct function. Okay, so anyway it is fine. If you want to know the exact query, just ping me in the comment box, I will send you the query over there. Now we have to fetch top and highest salary. So this is a little bit tricky, so that's why I've given the solution for you over here. So basically we have to fetch top and highest salaried employees in each department. So we have done it via row number, okay, via window function kind of thing. So basically we have to fetch all the details from, we have to fetch over the row number, because we have to partition it via department, because I want to know like what are the top 3 salaries in each department. There can be 50 departments, it can be 100 departments. So within each department I want top and salary, top 3, top 4, top 5 salaries in each department. So we have to basically partition by department, and then we have to order by salary in descending order, so that we will be getting the salary from highest till lowest, and then we have to rank it. So here you can observe I have given as RN, which is ranking I am giving over there. Okay, from employee 1 as a rank. So this is the inner query basically, which is having alias name as rank, where this RN, this rank, this RN I've put over here in the inner query, where RN is less than equal to 3. So all top 3 salaried employees in each department details I will be getting in this query. Okay, so this is the query for this. If you are getting any kind of doubt in this, you can just bring me, I will explain it to you. Okay, so row number is very much important. It is creating the row number on each record. Okay, and it is creating the rank based upon the row number. So understand this window function and this row numbers, because these are very important, very much important. And one more type of question which are most commonly asked is, how can you remove duplicates from a table? So a table can have n number of records, and let's suppose there is no primary key. What will happen? How will you remove duplicates? There are multiple records with same data, and I want to remove all those duplicates. If there is no primary key in a table, will delete query work in that scenario? Or primary key is required to delete all the duplicate records? Duplicate records in the sense, like if I am removing, let's suppose 5 records are present, and out of that 3 records are having duplicate of same type data, I need to keep one of them. Because if I'm just deleting with having clause, like having count of this greater than 1, so it will delete everything. Okay, it will not keep even one of the unique record. So there you have to think it out. Like either primary key should be there, or without primary key also it will work out. Just try to think on it. Try to do a research on it. This is very much important interview question. How can you delete duplicate records from the table? Okay, so these are 3 kind of questions that you have to work upon. Find nth highest, nth smallest, find top and highest or lowest in each department, and third is deleting duplicate records in a table. These 3 kind of questions if you can do, no other kind of questions can be asked outside this. Okay, another kind of question is there on joins. Like if I want to fetch order details where there are no orders. Okay, let's suppose for one kind of product no order came. So how will you fetch those details as well? You have to make use of left join or right join, that I've given you the hint. So these are 3 to 4 kind of problems that is most commonly asked. Outside this, there are no more questions, not much questions asked on SQL part, I'm telling you. Okay, so this was it for SQL. So now round 1 is finished. So now let's deep dive into round 2. Let's see what all kind of question is asked in round 2 technical interview.